Okay, for this session, I'm going to show you how to use a router to do what I was doing in the last session with hand tools. In this router that I have, it's a router table that's been set up attached to a table saw. I'm going to show you a little bit closer later as to how that looks. I've put into it a quarter round, like you see here, router bit. I'll just put this back where it belongs. There are a lot of varieties of router bits that you can get. I've got a box here just chock full of router bits, and each one of these does a very specific purpose. That's a whole nother lesson just to show you what routers do. I'll probably do that at a later date. These are for cope and stick reasons, for doing edging on large surfaces, also for joinery, finger joints and so on. Really a lot of varieties of things that you can do with routers themselves. So what I'm going to do here is with this table that you see here, I actually have feather boards that will go into it. I've made this myself so that I can put feather boards on there. They go into this track. I have 3 feather boards like you see here. I don't need them for what I'm going to do right now. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use this router to pass a board over, actually a box over that we made before. So this box right here, as you see, I'm going to do the top. We started off by doing it by hand with the spoke shaves and so on, but I'm going to finish it off using the router just to show you how the router does work. I'm going to put my earplugs on, and I'll do this fairly quickly, but before we go, I have a vacuum under here that's attached to it. I have a hose up here. I've got a switch. When I flip the switch, it turns the vacuum on and the router at the same time, and it makes it a lot easier for me. All right, put some earplugs on, turn it on. Real noisy machine, but you can see what that's done is it routers up that edge, and then I got a little bit of a chip there that can come off with sanding, no problem. So you have a really nice quarter round on that. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom afterwards. So that's my box with a routered surface on it. Before I go on, I'm going to give you a little bit of a close-up look as to what this is all about. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so what I've got here is 2 Rockler clamps that are used to hold down my fence, my table saw fence, to the fence of the actual router table, which makes it really easy for me now to open that up and move it back and forth. And then with my normal locking mechanism here, I can lock it in place so that you have a router table that's connected to the table saw table that becomes a unit, one whole unit. It also adds to the table surface I have on my table saw. I just lower the router bit, and now I have a larger table saw surface as well. So it's a dual purpose for what I'm doing here. The vacuum is really important, keeps the sawdust amount down, although there is still a little bit of sawdust on the floor, nothing I can do about that. But suffice to say, this router setup really works for what I want to do here. But remember, I still prefer to use hand tools to do that job, especially in the teaching situation where I'm teaching kids how to do it. I'd much rather use spoke shaves and hand planes and block planes and rasps and that sort of thing in order to get the same job done. But if you're in a hurry, you want to get the job done and you want to have it uniform, you don't want to have to worry about your skill level or that sort of thing, you can always use the router. Anyways, that's it for the router, and next time we'll find out how we're going to cut this box open.